Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2. What's the final grade on it? Is it an A? Is it a B? Is it a C? Is it a D? Or is it an F season? We're going to find out today on this episode when we break down series review. But before I hop into it, if there's a series you want me to watch or review, please let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I'll get to it as best I can. Also at Patreon /Ali for $2 a month. You get the cut in front of everybody. Get your review out before it comes on Facebook and YouTube. Now, let's go and get into today's episode of Reincarnated as a Slime Season 2. So, what is this season about? Well, a lot of stuff actually. So, you have Rimuru, who is teaching a bunch of the youngsters how to control their powers and everything at the end of season 1. Well, that's still going on in the first part of this season. While that's happening, the city of Temperance, or the kingdom of Temperance, is pretty much living their life, controlling themselves, doing a bunch of negotiations with other kingdoms and whatnot. And then they get invaded by Falm Youth, who is a villain kingdom who's kind of afraid of Tempest and all the monsters, so they went there and invade them and pretty much killed a lot of people. While Rimuru is coming back home, he gets into a fight with this girl named Hinata, who's a really strong warrior that he fights and almost loses to. Well, he actually does lose the battle, but he almost loses his life, but he figured out a way how to manipulate his way out of that fight. Because they manipulate there for some reason. Weird, I know. But gets him out of that fight and saves himself, goes back home and realizes that his people were attacked and killed by Falmu, which is a city of a bunch of humans. And Rimuru, who is a former human himself in his past life, has to come to the conclusion that, like, one, he needs to bring back his people, but in order to do that, he has to kill over like 1,000 people to become a demon lord to bring back his former his friends. So Rimuru goes on this journey to become a demon lord in this season, and also probably one of the worst, not the worst, but one of the most, I don't know how to put it, like just significant moments in anime where a hero, without a shadow of a doubt, just slaughters a bunch of humans who, yes, they was in war because of what their king told them to do, but he really just does not care. He went into like straight demon mode and just thousands of people just killed out of this army. Just killed the army himself. No matter who they were that was running, he got them. He did like this like kind of like light technique where he would just sit above everybody and just snipe people down left and right. It was actually kind of like wow to look at, but he gets the power to become a demon lord and the power to revive the dead, and he ended up reviving back his friends. And then from there, some more negotiations, sit down, talks, and he finally finds the guy who was kind of controlling everything, was the Claimant, another demon lord. And Rimuru and the rest of Tempest goes and fight Claimant and pretty much prove, one, their innocence and prove the fraud that Claimant is and all the kind of things that Claimant has been doing to wreak havoc amongst the world of monsters and humans. And that's pretty much the gist of season 2 for Reincarnated as a Slime. I did enjoy this season. I had fun with this season, but there's also times in this season where I didn't have fun with. So the things that I like, the action in this season, it's really good. Really good action, really good animation. The animation is solid. I love that. And I also love how Rimuru constantly built a story in it where he constantly builds his characters and build his crew and build like his kingdom and gets more types of monsters, whether they're animal shapers or lizards or hogs or demons themselves. Like, he's incorporated a bunch of different people, humans, into his kingdom, which I love it. It's a kingdom for everybody to live in peacefully. Love it. But the thing is with this is that, like, my biggest dislike is that every episode they will give you another recap of what happened to the previous episode. Now, I understand this show came out in 1990s or early 2000s where we didn't have DVR, we didn't have video on demand, we didn't have streaming channels. Have an episode to recap what happened. Take an episode to recap what happened for season 1. Take an episode to recap what happened this season or within the season, what happened like 5 episodes ago. Take the time to recap that. If we didn't have that, but we have streaming nowadays. But because we have streaming nowadays, we can watch episodes back to back to back to back to back. So the fact that you had to like remind people what was happening really threw me off. And it was like every other episode, it was another flashback to what happened prior to the previous episode, which I'm like, I don't need a flashback to what happened just 2 episodes ago. I watched what happened 2 episodes ago. I was there. I literally just watched it. I just kept binging the show. Why do you have to let me know? That's the only downfall I really didn't like about the season. Because of that, it felt like the season got dragged out a lot longer than what it needs to be dragged out for. We didn't need to have it dragged out that long, but we ended up getting it because of the fact that they did that. Its season is 24 episodes long. That's how long the season is. But because of the fact that I think it could have been shorter than that. I think this could have been like a 15, 16 episode season. But you took 2 episodes to recap what happened in the previous episode that we didn't need to know. I didn't need to know how Valdor got brought into Rimuru body. I didn't need to know that. We already watched season 1. Just let him know he's there. So I would say that's probably the one biggest downfall I have for the season, and because it cut some of the pacing out and just like maybe feel a lot longer than what it needs to be, and it didn't need to be that long. Not at all. Like, it did its job for the most part. Like, I had fun watching this season, had a good time watching season 2 and seeing how the development happened. Like the Demon Lord episode where he becomes a Demon Lord and he brings back Shion. Right on. Good work. Where the humans come in and pretend the monsters are attacking them, and they use their powers to kind of make the monsters seem like they're bad guys. I like that concept. That was pretty cool. And it was a moment where like Rimuru wasn't there, so the humans was going into his kingdom and messing stuff up while he wasn't there. I actually liked some of that stuff. It makes complete sense. But for like them to recap a lot of stuff happening, you're like, I don't need a recap. I saw Rimuru lost. I didn't need a recap on showing me the whole battle again to change 2 seconds where he like sneaks away. I don't need to see that. You could just show a flashback real quick and then him sneak away. Like, that makes more sense. The ending fight, the animation for the ending fight was good. At the ending of the season actually was pretty dang good. I didn't have nothing bad to say about the ending of the season. It was a good way to end the season. The only thing is, there's certain fights that you don't get to see. There's so many characters in this series that at one point you really don't care about other characters anymore. Like, I still like Shion, the secretary, and for a moment I thought when they killed her, they was gonna let her die. And I was like, holy crap, we're getting our first big death in this. But it's an anime. You'll revive back characters because you want characters. But Shion's one of my favorite characters. But I was like, oh shoot, she actually gonna die. And this is good character storyline, character development here for Rimuru actually to how to become a demon lord. It really gets his own will. He didn't want to do that, but to bring back his friends, he's like, I must do what I have to do. There's a lot of fights in this season as well that you really don't care about because of characters like, you know, they're going to win. For example, the samurais. You know, the samurais, the ogres. I can't think of what the actual name is now that they're no longer ogres. But the former ogres, like, you know, they're going to win because they're just that good. Like, Rimuru's team is really strong people, and they rarely lose. And they do lose. It's like, oh, I lost because I wasn't giving my 100%. But here's Rimuru coming in and clean up house. And so I still haven't really found, besides that one fight with Hinata where Rimuru actually loses, all the other ones, you're like, how you gonna win? That's the thing. And then you bring in villains like, for example, Clayman and his people. You bring his people in, but they're like, oh, put one of his fingers, but then they handle the fingers easily. And you're just like, all right, well, Rimuru's people are powerful. Where's the struggle at? There's no Dragon Ball Z moment or Yu Yu Hakusho moment where the good guys are losing to a bad guy and then the main character comes in and cleans house. That's not in this anime yet. For the most part, if the good guys do lose, it's just because like, oh, we was caught up in something else, which is cool. I do like that. I do like the fact that, you know, it's not just pure fists. You have wits about you. Like, okay, I probably shouldn't win this fight because of this going on or that issue's going on, or something else happened over here. I kind of ran into this person by mistake. I do like that. Or they lose because like, oh, the first time I wasn't paying attention. It's not going to happen again. So I do give them props for that. But for the most part, when it comes to final conclusions and fights, the good guys wins. All right, let's go get the cast and details and stuff of that nature. So I'll read more characters. I really cast when it comes to this because it's English and sub. So, or I guess Japanese and English dub. So there's not really point in bringing down the 2 casts, but characters itself. But the anime, this season came out in 2020, and it didn't complete until April to July of 2021. So October 2020 when it started releasing, and then COVID, and then it finished in 2021 1 of July. The songs, you have the opening theme is Storyteller by True. The ending is Story Seeker by Stereo Dive Foundation, which is a really good song. I love that song. It's a good ending. The second opener is Light Flames by Miranda Reen. And the closing is Reincarnated performed by Takuma Tarishi. The closing song for season 2 and the opening song for the second half wasn't really that best for me. I didn't really enjoy it as much. The series is animated by 8-Bit. The characters, you have Rimuru. He's a protagonist, and he actually does have character development in this season. He's not beginning of this season, he doesn't finish it the same way he started. Beginning of the season, he's like, all right, I taught the kids and going back to my homeland or home country and trying to, build that up. And then he gets in the fight and then watches people die. So he has to become a demon lord to order to save his people. So he becomes a demon lord, not by of want, but of necessity. And by him becoming the demon lord, he kind of becomes a little more edgy in the sense where he's like, I don't care. I'm going to take out whoever I need to take out and do what I need to do to prove that this person's wrong and we're the good guys here. And then at the end of the season, he actually joins the 8 demon lords that are remaining. So he has a table around of all the other demon lords, and he actually joins the demon lords. And then Malene, she even gets her own little group as well. So he adds more to his country and more allies, more people to help him out. And then he also becomes a demon lord. Secondary characters in this, yeah, Beanie Maru, who he's like his right-hand man pretty much. He's like the Zoro to Luffy. He's a good character for the most part. Like he's cool. Like he gonna come in and take care of business, and that's what he's about. Like other than that, Beanie Maru in this season has some good fight scenes, but he for the most part is kind of there. Gabuto, he was here. Like he had a few moments in this season. Nothing really too crazy in this season. You have Mayuline. I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but she actually was a big part. She actually was a ploy put in by Clayman to try to bring down the country, and she ended up falling in love with another guy, and they had a little fling together. But for the most part, she ended up joining the group after Rimuru kind of saves her from everybody. Shion was the one who actually died. Shion dies in this season, and Rimuru she's like a leading factor for Rimuru to bring her back, and then she comes back and have a really good fight since the end of the season. Shion was cool. One of my favorite characters in this. Shuna is kind of like the princess of everything for like the ogres and whatnot. She was fine there. You had Hakuru, the old man. He has a moment. He's pretty cool in this season. Like there's characters who have moments here. Clayman is the main antagonist of this season. He's pretty much the main villain that caused a lot of strife and grief for the rest of Remy Marvel's crew. And pretty much he goes down. He was a villain, but at the same time, like he wasn't that strong villain that everybody feared. He made himself seem like that in the first part, and then towards the end, it was like, no, you're the weakest of the clown group, or the clown, not posse, but I guess the clown family. Like he's the weakest one of them, and he thought he can be hot sub because they chose him to be like the main fourth guy, and he kind of let his power get to his head. So at the end of the season, you have a moment where he's like, I would try to do all this to revive back something else and try to help out somebody. But in reality, he got too big for his britches and came all crashing down on him. So I'm curious to see what the next part of the clown family and what they do the next season. But for the most part, he was the man. He was the antagonist, and he did his job to be somebody to give the rest of Rimuru and his crew somebody to fight, and pretty much that was it. He gets beaten. Diablo is one of the demon lords who jumps in. He becomes Rimmaru's second secretary, and he goes off on his own thing. Valdora is the dragon who finally gets free, and he's actually a little more comic relief in this season. He is pretty much like reading a bunch of manga, and that's all he's been doing, reading manga. So he comes out, he's like, his fighting techniques are all based off of like video games and manga. He does a Kamehameha wave. He does reuse Hadouken. He does a bunch of other stuff, which is kind of cool. And you watch anime, play video games, you're like, oh, that's funny. But for the most part, he is like another strong fighter. He's a dragon. Maline, she, for the most part this season, is like, seemed to be under Clayman's spell throughout the season, and then kind of find out, no, she was doing it as a ploy to show Clayman as a bad guy, he's a jerk, and reveal who he really is. She was fine. Like, she's more bubbly in her first season, so I'm curious to see how it goes forward for next season. But for the most part, she was like a villain in this season, under control, and fighting Rimuru, and they have a good fight at the end. Nothing too crazy. That's pretty much it when it comes to cast and character. The rest of them are just like, are there, and they have moments and spots in this season, like the giant pig guys, like that. They have, or boar. They have a bunch of spots and moments in the season, or like the animal kingdom. They come in and have cool moments, but really for the most part, that's the main gist of what you're watching when it comes to season 2. Any other thoughts? The animation is clean. Some of the fight scenes are still just as clean, nice to look at, like good work there. The downtime and when they're coming up and talking policies and talking about different stuff, that's cool to see. And also the demon lords coming in, that was cool to see. It was cool. It's cool. The cast and story is fine. It's just the fact that you kept recapping everything. Every other episode really bothered me. That's what the main issue of the season really comes down to, is a recap. So without the recaps, the season would have been a clean season. All right. Is this a season you should binge? No, you shouldn't binge this season because of the fact you have so many recaps. Like, just watch it, take your time, and come back to it. That way the recaps actually make sense. And grading time. I'm gonna grade season 2 of Reincarnated as a Slime. I'm gonna give this a C+. It gives a C+ for me, and for the most part, it's kind of similar to season 1. Where everything goes on, you do have character development in the season, so you do move forward. That's true. It's just when you come to recapping stuff so much, you just find yourself like, I don't need a recap of another episode after another episode. It really hurts the pacing of this season, and that's why I'll give this season a C+, a 79%. It gets that from me. Now that'd be a 79%, a C+. That's what I give for Reincarnated as a Slime season 2. I don't think they have season 2 like grading out there because of the fact that it's a season 2 of a series. So we might not talk about that from my anime list or IMDb, but it definitely does gives a C+ vibe for me. If you've seen season 2 of Reincarnated as a Slime, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdown Series Review, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.